Hi guys, I'm Claudio and today I'm gonna show you the workflow that I use it for create the image and the trailer, the video of IKEA design project that I've made. If you didn't watch it yet, you can search it in the description and you'll find the link. So for make it clear, I will divide this workflow in few steps. If you want to skip from a step to another, you can read the description and you'll find a way to skip it. So once I choose the reference, I try to achieve the result in different ways. I'm gonna show you all the steps I've done, even the wrong one, and I will explain why it didn't work and why it worked. So, just to make everything clear, I'll just show everything. So the first step, obviously, is to have a model. So for 3D model, I tried to don't lose so much time. So I tried to research it for free models on internet of IKEA, but I didn't find any. So after all, I just model everything by myself. So as a software, I'm using 3D Studio Max. So for model, I did that, and I will use it for all the render I need to do. Then I just matched the perspective. So I used the image reference as background, as you will see, and just to match the perspective and the point of view, kind of it. Then I started to use V-Ray, and I use it. I started with lighting, lighting the scene as the reference one and trying to match it. And then I started with material, creating the material and the shaders. Then you will see what did I do for the render output. I rendered out one still image and a full animation that I rendered in V-Ray Cloud. So I advise you to see that part because it's really interesting. Then I did two kind of a post-production. The first one was in Nuke, which was really interesting because in Nuke you can do so many things, and it's a different way to just post-product an image. And the great thing is that if you just do the post-product on one image, you can change the source, the input, and you can instead use a video. So you will just post-product a video, and that's what I've done. But you cannot have the same freedom you have in Photoshop. So I used Photoshop for creating one still image that looks better, actually. Then I just show you how I create the trailer. So I will show you from the design to the end, just to show you everything. And I've used Aftereffects for that. The only thing you're not gonna see in this workflow, in this long video, is how I've made this video that you're watching. But I think it's enough long to just you should be okay without it. So anyway, I hope you will enjoy this, and if you have any question or you have some advice, don't hesitate to just comment below and let me know whatever you have in your mind. Let's begin. The idea of this project was to just choose one of the image of the last catalog of IKEA, and or IKEA, as you wanna say, and just try to reproduce it in 3D Studio Max and V-Ray. So I choose one that I like it. It was a kitchen, and so the first step I do when I do like some image is begin from modeling for sure. So I went to the details of it. The first attempt I did, it was just trying to trying to find the right the right furniture that was right in that image picture render. I don't know what is that. So I was trying to find it out, which one was used, and I was trying to find even the models, 3D models, free, which was like a failure because there was not any interesting model, you know. So actually, I just tried to take all the elements, like to find it in the catalog of IKEA, and just to at least take the pictures. In this way, I can model myself and take the the specs for the measures and the dimensions, you know. And so from there I could start to just try to model every element that is in this scene. And actually, you know, in this scene there are not so many elements to model, and all I'm going to do in this project will be all by myself. I mean, I am not using any assets, except for example, a plant that I don't like. So in here I just give up on using the models, and so I'm trying to model everything. And then I remind that, you know, there was this 3D IKEA software that you could just play around with their models, and they have, you know, the right models and the right size. Because one idea was, you know, to reproduce this image and to even produce more image from this one, you know, just like to give more details about all the furniture that has been used in this image and this configuration, this design. So, and to give more information about it. So I was planning to just find each piece in the detail, and then I will explain it and make some image that could just explain what has been used. And so I tried to find a configuration in there, and then I just try to replicate on 3D Studio Max. And here, you know, I'm trying to be, you know, like really accurate, and take the drawings and scale it out, like in a right scale, and then model, like, you know, as you should do when you do something like for design. But actually then I got, you know, what was my point? My point was to reproduce that image. And in fact, when I just used this, you know, the right measures and the size of these elements, and I got the composition, I just got that it was not right. So, you know, I don't know if the designer of the image, I think is an archivist image, it's not a picture, because as I know, as I saw in some video about IKEA, the 80% of the picture that they have in their catalog is render based. So I think, yeah, this one is, and it's way too perfect. So I also think so, that it's made by 3D. And so, you know, maybe I thought, you know, maybe they just didn't put the right size of it. I don't know. Because in here I just put everything in right sizes, and then I try to overlay the 3D, the image, the picture, and I didn't find myself in there. I mean, I could not find it, the right proportions of it. And so then I got back. I mean, I just tried to reply everything as I will see that, not as it should be, like the right size. I mean, so here, you know, so I put all the furniture, and here I'm gonna try to guess the scale of the details, and you know, so everything is kind of set in here, and I choose my camera from my point of view, I mean, guessing it. And then I just got, I need to do it in a better way. That 3D Studio Max let me do that. So here I'm doing kind of handles, and right now what you're seeing is just one screen. Obviously, I'm working also with the other screen at my right, and I'm sorry that I cannot show it. It's especially important when I'm talking about the material and kind of it. So here, I'm trying to at my right I have also the dimension about all I'm modeling from the IKEA specs. And the problem is that when I just got the composition and I just compare it to the picture, it didn't look right. There were some proportion that was different, and so my goal was to just replicate that image. So I said, okay, I need to change something, so yeah, in here I'm just creating the scene, trying to match the composition. And I also trying to, what scared me, even if it looks like in the first look it looks simple, but the light in the picture is not that easy. And so that I was worried about that, actually, to replicate just the same. So in here I'm trying to get more and more information about what I'm going to model. And yeah, I found some details that I'm looking at my right, and you cannot see. And here obviously there are tons and tons of way to model, and I just try to find mine. And slowly you get model everything. And with all the information you have, I mean, I wish I could have more, but it was enough, I guess. I tried to be as clean as possible, even if I knew that I will. My goal was not like the detail of all the stuff. This stuff, you can see it from far, so it was not need really to focus so much on details. But anyway, even if you watch it from far, you need to get some detail. So here I'm trying to be as clean as possible as model. And so yeah, I'm spending some time doing this, and at last, it looks good. Yeah, it looks proper. It's not so far from what they got. Here, yeah, I'm creating holes, and it's always not like really fast things to do to create holes, and just to use the right turbo smooth and to cap the cylinders. And so here I was like, sometimes sometimes I'm tired, so I just I can be better in some other operation that sometimes I'm slow about. So yeah, I'm still copying it. Gosh. Okay, what else? Okay, so I'm placing this thing, and then I'll model the other furniture. And one thing interesting that I found out doing this is when I render this kind of stuff, and I don't find my render the same as the image of reference is like, I just wonder if it's really like that, or there was like some effect that was applied on, because we know that, for example, for reflection we can use some hidden light that just apply on the reflection, and so in the render you see some, in the image you see some reflection that actually will not exist in a real world. So trying to be as clean as possible. And but some stuff I had some trouble with, to be real. Like for example the window in this scene. Anyway, cutting holes and Turbo Smooth having some problems on figuring out why. And it's always like really it's spending time doing this the proper way. Even if these holes you see it from far, but you try to do the best you can. And connect the vertices and trying to be as clean as possible. I don't model so often, so sometimes I should improve my modeling. And so I'm creating the whole, and so okay, I got this stuff, and then I have other few things to model, which is the plate, and I try to add eyes just to look at the picture at my right and to replicate that. And on the top there is like some vegetable, and it was weird. I mean, it was not that easy. So I just thought, why to not just put a sphere and to just then apply some opacity map. And here over exaggerating. I mean, I shouldn't do this step. This is like material step, but I was figuring out if I had to model that or I could just apply to a sphere. And a sphere, you see from far, so it looked really good. So I just created two spheres. One I cut it, the other no. And then I will apply some opacity mask. Then I'm creating the bottle. The bottle from the image has a strange line like in the middle part, and so I made it. I made this like bump, and even for this one, I didn't want to go too much to the details because you're not gonna see that. So I tried to just make it look like that from that picture, and so what it just trying to match it. And then I have like the plant, which is okay. I don't have any assets of good plants, so I'm just using the free ones, and I'm trying to modify them. But as you know, it's really complex to do that. And for example, this one, the leaves are so rigid, there are no bending, and you can see that. Anyway, I got like the composition, okay, and I was say, okay, let's see how does it match it with the other. So we have all the elements in here. What I still have to see if this image can just match close to the reference or not. So I'm going to export in open Photoshop and overlay that and see how does it work. And it was not looking that bad, but even not perfect obviously. So I just saw that there were some things that didn't work, and so I said, okay, I should change my approach to this. So I just put it as a background image, and I'm trying to move at least the object that I could see. So I used the perspective tool of 3D Studio Max, trying to match the perspective point, and it helped me a bit, but it was not perfect, so I had to match it by hands, by looking at it. And actually it's not perfect. so yeah, I was playing with it and trying to match it, and you know, the problem is that I was trying to move the camera, but actually the objects were different, so the size were not that, but it was not so huge differences, and so I didn't know what to do, and I said, okay, I'm trying to model as I see and not as the the um, the furniture is actually. So I said, okay, I'm gonna change the the position and the size of the stuff of the furnitures to match from the picture, because that was my goal actually. So I'm trying to just move it, the object, and with the background was much better, you know. I should have been using this before, you know, even when modeling. I should model just with this, but I just wanted to have an architect approach to this, you know, to design and just use the regular furniture. So in the picture here, I'm trying to set the scene uh, for the lighting, and as I could see, there was um, there was not direct light. It was really wide light. You could not see the shadow and the brightest part. So it seems like they said, I don't know if it was a picture or not. So or a cloudy time, or clothes, you know, with not any direct light, or an HDRI with a cloud image. So in this way you will have this kind of effect. So I just change it the size of the sun. In this way I could blur it. But it didn't care how much I move it in this window. I will not get the result that I expected, you know. And I changed it, you know, the point of the sun. I found the point of the sun by looking at the picture. The picture had this shadow in this element, and so I could just match it. But if I could match this, other stuff will not be that right, and so I just was trying to understand how could be this one. And sometimes I'm going to render these huge renders and taking a break actually. So like taking some water, and because this one was you know, a scaring part. I was not sure how to do this, you know, because I saw something and I didn't like it. And the problem here was the reflection. And okay, and here I see that dark part, which is really important, that drawing. And you know, there is like this vignetting in that render. So you know, okay, I saw that window, and that windows are is like that for that kind of shadow. At least for me, it worked like that. I'm not a light specialist actually, and I should be. But as you can see, there is a reflection on the plant, and it looks like there are two windows. Like there is one window, the door of the window, like the sliding door, and the pivot doors. And so I had to match these two things. These like portal lights that are not portal lights, that are just weird lights, square and rectangular. And they just give me also like a good GI that will help me. So I said, okay, I'm gonna fake this. And so I said, okay, right now I'm satisfied with this kind of thing. So let's move on materials. And so I'm just trying to set these tails and trying to match it with the reference. And you know, I just applied like a ceramic and then a bump, a noisy bump, to two levels of bump, the one of which is the most big one, and one for the details. And then I'm gonna blur it. One thing interesting in here, which is really important, is the edges about these tails, because they are shiny. Because obviously there is rounded edges, edges, okay, and so there was that shiny was really important. So not for all the models I'm gonna like model the smooth edge. For some, when I have to model a lot of stuff, I'm trying to just add a V-Ray edge on material. And as you can see in here, I just also added a lot for for like kind of filter, what is that, and some color correction kind of it. So here I'm trying to I found actually a kind of good, it's not like the best texture of the wood, and so I was creating the diffuse, the bump, and specular maps and apply it, and it was not that bad. I was trying to match it, and not really in the detail, just because you can see from far, and so I was trying to match it, and actually I should buy I'm planning to buy a good GPU, because I'm working on a 660 GTX, and I am dreaming about RTX 2080. It'll be great, but I should spend even more on the CPU actually, because I'm always producing. Oh, as you can see here, I have some problems. Often the 3D Studio Max crash, and it happens that sometimes when I render, it creates this problem. It's just trying to, it's keeping on rendering, but it doesn't show me anything. So I need to ask to myself, is it rendering or it got stuck? And it's really boring. I'm using the V-Ray 3.6 and 3D Studio Max 2018. And so here I'm going back to the light, and let's see if we can do it better, and it may work. And so I was like, here I had some problem with the wood, the color was not matching, and then I had to filter it differently, like import the image in a different way. But overall, it was not that bad, so I just had to modify these materials, and I got the wood right. And I'm trying to match it, and reflection, and kind of it. This one was moving, the plant was flying, and so just trying to match for everything. So for the wall, I use it like diffuse color, like color matte, but I use it a noise, to just create some different colors between the points. And here also the plate was looking flat, and so I used some fall off as a diffuse. And here we are adding this detail on the steel, and there is this I'm trying to replicate the it crashed obviously. I'm trying to replicate the that steel, and I'm trying to also I took another project. I like it one ladder that I used in another project, so I tried to use it, but it didn't work, so I was trying to do it by myself again, and trying to reproduce it, and just take some time to just find the one that they use it. And from far it looks like it's really just reflective surface, and here, so I'm getting to the detail of it. I'm going to create a strong bump and a opacity map, which is really important in here, and so just trying to create something not so matte, something interesting, and overall from far to me it doesn't look so bad. And so selecting all the materials and add it everything, and just okay, the plant, I tried every way to just make it look realistic, but but it didn't work because the model is not right, and I don't have any free models that I can use. The problem, the point is that it's blurred. Okay, when the composition, they use it, I think, less than f8. They use it like 5.6 or something like that. I don't know. But you know, the plant and this part of the table is blurred. So there is bokeh, and you cannot see it well. So in post production, I can just modify that. I'm trying to create a two-side material with this one, with the diffuse and translucency, and the color from back to front is a different color, and I'm going to add a random ED material so we can have some random color of the leaves, and so overall it looked like that. So I had to add another light actually, because yeah, in here I just saw something. I think I compared this image to the reference one, and I was just trying to see what was wrong, and I saw that these handles were wrong, and I added some random position of this stuff, and also the light in here that I didn't do because I didn't like it actually. I said, okay, I'm not gonna do that, but then I said, okay, let's do that, and so I did it. As the same on the top of this furniture in the IKEA catalog, there is like it keeps going the furniture, but I didn't like it, so I just keep it the wall in there. So here I just compared my render with the reference image, and I just saw what's the difference, which one we have to change, and kind of it, and so you know, just trying to match it, and I'm adding the light in there because there is just really a sudden light that you can see in the side of the furniture, and even the reflection, you know. In my taste, I will make it stronger, that like that yellow hot warm light, because I like it, but at all they didn't do that. So my plan was to just so in here I just got that I lost the rim light of this tail, and I'm trying to replicate that. So you know, I'm trying to match it and kind of it. I was getting crazy, like why it does not appear. I said, I even said, you know, if something's wrong, I just will do it in Photoshop, but I don't want to do that. Because my plan was also to do a 360 image of this one, and one that you can enjoy also with the virtual reality and the Oculus Rift. So I was, you know, trying to match everything. I wish that Unity will just give this quality of 360 experience with this render. So you know, just trying to match everything and to make it look right. And in here I'm setting out the render output, like all the elements with ZDAPT. And actually right now I'm using the V-Ray Cloud beta, which allows us to use their workstation to render, and this is really good for animation. So because you can render 50 scenes, 50 renders in the same time, so you can speed up render like 50 times. So if you need to render an image, just do it right now and use it, because it's really amazing. Actually, I found out that you can use export within 3D Studio Max, even with 2018. There is a way to export V-Ray scene, and then you can upload on the cloud. That's what I've done, and it worked. So I did it, and I just said, okay, it takes some time, so I'll just try to pass in Nuke and impose the composition passes. I just did a draft of the render small size, and I just tried to start the composition, I mean the passes. But I was having a problem with the cryptomat because I was exporting all this EXR file from the frame buffer, which does not create the metadata that you need for cryptomat in Nuke. I'm choosing to post-product it in Nuke because I love post-product in Nuke, and because you can create like a template and you can use it for more renders, and if you do it for one image, you can do it for animation. So my plan was to do animation with this render, and so if I just post-product one picture with Nuke, I will just have all the composition post-product in an animation. So I wanted to do this, and this is the reason why I just post-product in Nuke. Overall, I worked a lot in post-production. I could work much more in setting up the scene and materials, but at all, I didn't want to go too deep in the materials. I should add much more imperfections for example, in the steel, in the iron, and in a table. Should work on glossiness and dirty, add some dirtiness and randomness, but you will see from far, and the image is pretty small, so I don't plan to do any close-up to any elements, so I choose it to just don't do that and just to post-product like a matte color, not so complex shaders. In fact, indeed, I didn't use any complex shader at all. So actually, I had a problem with Nuke with the cryptomat map, and I did a video about this, so you can watch it if you have the same problem, and I will explain that even better than now, because the video is way already too long. So the cryptomat is working. It's just great because I can modify singular like each element, and I can change the diffuse color, the reflection color, or even whatever I do want. The idea of this post-production was that I'm not gonna paint on it, because with this post-production I can also output the video. So if I will paint matte on this image, it will be a mess up in the video. So that's why I'm not gonna paint over some different layers on this, because it will not match with the animation. So here I'm just trying to match everything. I have always the reference image under, and I can always check it, and this is great on Nuke, because you can switch over like V-Ray does, V-Ray frame buffer, but like for example Photoshop does not do, which is really huge deal, I guess. So I was not okay. In here, I tried to apply a Z depth, but I was not reading the Z depth, so I was like, "Is there any Z depth?" I mean, I did it, but it didn't work, and it didn't work. So I render out another scene. I cut off all the light and the GI, and just set everything black, and I wanted just to G depth map. So I plug it in, and so I could not do that because Nuke, you have to understand Nuke. It's not that easy, so you have to combine the layers. But at all, I did it, and it was pretty good. This app tool that is integrated in Nuke is not the best, but is a free one that comes from Nuke, so it's good one. So one thing that I could not do, and I didn't want to render out again this scene because I was rendering out also the animation, is the front light. The front light in this furniture close up, there isn't the shadow, and I cannot make it different. I cannot paint over. So I was giving up on that. I said, okay, never mind. So I'm trying to match here the wood, and it was not easy matching. And so I was trying to work on it and to make it proper. And overall, what I didn't like was like the look to the filters. Yeah, I'm still working on that wood, and I'm not satisfied at all with the results. But anyway, I didn't want, this was a kind of a interesting workflow project, and I could spend much more time on the details on this stuff, but I didn't want to just lose so much time. I just wanted to give the time that deserve it, because overall it's just a project, and it's for me, and so I was pretty good with that. And so here I was adding some chromatic aberration just to make it look like it's not a render but a picture, and then I will also add some grain in the render just to make it look like a picture. Those are small passes that you do at last to make it look more real. And here I said, okay, I'm gonna try to change the color, because after a long time I saw the catalog that I have here with me, and I saw the same scene. I said, this is blue, the kitchen. I'll show a picture, and then I watched it up again to my computer and said, this is green and not blue. So they printed another version. It's not a problem of print issue, because it looks perfect. So I think they just changed it in the catalog. And so I said, okay, let's do both solutions. And here I'm trying to, in some way, to adjust like the handles, because I didn't like it. It looks really flat, and the reference image are much punchy colors. So yeah, I'm trying to find a way to do that. I don't want to go into detail, but in here I used many passes like the raw and filters for light, but this does not let me to use a light select, which I got used to. And so I did some mess up with that, and it didn't work so well. Like here I'm adding like the V-Ray lighting, I guess, because everything was so flat. So I was, okay, no, I need to change individually each light. So I added and I created maybe overkill light in the center, and I was trying to color correct this to get right lighting, but it was not that easy. I should come back to 3D model and to just change it. Then I choose it. Okay, I don't like this. Let's see what we can get in 3D in Photoshop. I will sure get a better result. But Cryptomatte was not working, so at least I was trying to just work without any multimatte or V-Ray color passes, but I said, okay, it's really stupid. Okay, so I set multimatte, spent some time to create a multimatte to the object that I wanted to post-product. And Cryptomatte is just amazing because you just click it and everything is done and you have everything already masked. But in Photoshop you're gonna do that. And in Photoshop, the problem is that you cannot work fully in 32 bits, which is a big deal. You can do it in After Effects, but not in Photoshop. Not the same way you can do it in Nuke, which is a big deal, really. It's important for lighting and for colors and everything. So I got the mask, and so here I have much more control, so I'll just paint over, because this will not output a video. And guys, I have a problem in here. When I use multi-matte, this is the reason why I don't like it either. I always have a problem in the edges. It's like, is it about, like in Nuke is about multiply and pre-multiply, but in Photoshop I cannot solve it. I see guys that use it and that don't have this issue, and I don't know why I use it, why I have this issue. I really don't like it. So as you can see, I'm just changing the colors in here, in the lighting actually, to make it match better, and so to correct this steel and these handles, to create some shadow, some stuff that I would love to don't do because I'm trying to create some highlights, and just correct each one of the small detail that I can try to work on. And finally I could work better on the handle to just create some like customized effect and paint over mirrors. In here I'm just trying to make it more bright, because in the reference is brighter, and also trying to have this red light. See, this one is really weird, because in I don't know, I'm still thinking about it. Okay, in the render there is no warm light that is illuminating, is brightening up the kitchen, but there is that strong reflection. So that doesn't work. I don't know. So I try to fix it, and same to add some details. I'm punching this vegetable, and I'm not satisfied with that. But you'll see from far, and I told you I should spend much more time just to correct every details. And here I also didn't like how the reflection was in here, like in the edges, so I recreated that and tried to do something fast that was not so accurate, but you will see from far. So overall it will not be that bad, and trying to be as fast as possible. And so also, for example, this steel has something like weird, because in the reference you don't see any table. This object is not reflecting any table, but for his form he should reflect the table, as I have a darker light reflection in the bottom of this object, but they don't. So I think it was added in post-production, and it was not proper, because you will see just the table, but you cannot see that. So here I gave up. I said, Claudio, okay, I cannot do this without insert any Photoshop stuff, because it looks so bad, and I didn't want to spend so long time, so I used this really bad blend, and I messed up also the lighting of the composition that was putting attention inside, but I just wanted to match the color, and kind of it. Here I'm correcting the bottle to give some more punchy, and here I'll add more this light, and yeah, just painting over and trying to correct everything. And in Photoshop it's much easier than in Nuke, and but all you can have is just a still image, and you cannot have the same post production in a video. Or for example, you can post product in Nuke. You can post product a small pixel image of the render, and then you will just do the post-production, and then you'll just change the source, so it's like scalable, and this is great. So in here I'm starting to figure out how to do the video that I'm gonna to output. So I had no idea how to do that, and the most hard part, I guess, not the most hard, but the important part is to just get the mood of it. So I will search for free royal music that I can insert in my video, and that's gonna time everything, and that's gonna do a lot of stuff. In here I'm exporting the maps that I'm gonna use in the video, to show off the passes. The first idea was to just take a catalog and open it, and then choose the image. So I took the few catalogs of IKEA, and I could just flip it around and choose the one that I wanted. And so here I'm just setting the animation. So I choose the song. It does not apply well with the brand, not with IKEA, but I like this song. This is like kind of fast and funny song, and so I choose it. So in here I'm applying effects to just fold this catalog, and so I'm choosing like few pages that I can use for use that. It will be good to just have a lot of page that flip fast, but again I cannot just spend so long time just doing that, so I just did few pages, and with the right timing, and look at pretty nice. So yeah, it's what I've done. And then after you open the right page, the render pop up bigger. So I like this idea, and so I said, okay, it's not that bad. So I keep on doing this. Then I just said, okay, what now? I'm gonna use the passes that I just render out, and should match the scale for the first, and then with timing I should just overlay each one of these passes. The problem is that the song is really fast, so you don't enjoy every pass that I'm putting in here, but it's really fast. I wish it will be slower, but it's all we got, so we're gonna do this. And here I'm just choosing which one is the first one, which one is the second one, and so just try and cut it in the right timing. Spend a lot of time doing this, trying to match it with the music, as you can see, and just working out. Then I just look how does it sound, how does it sound, how does it look, and if I had this, what happens, if I had this, what happens. So yeah, this was the first step that I was doing. I added some shadow to make it look more real. I like it that, and I leave it as it is. And so yeah, still trying to match everything. Actually, when I was doing this post-production, this video, I didn't finish yet to create the the animation in 3D Studio Max. I had a problem that I discovered when I render everything on the cloud. It does not export me the right cryptomat, so I had some problem with it. The other problem was because I didn't plan to do an animation. I just know that there was out the V-Ray Cloud beta, so I said, okay, let's try out with a fast animation. But I didn't play around with the setting. I didn't do any draft for that, which I should do, obviously. And I ended up with some flickering on the bottle and on the iron at all. overall. And so I was trying to fix everything, and it's not just to drag and drop the animation instead of the still image, because you have any way to just play around with the settings, because not all the value of post-production is good for all the frames. Here I had a problem that actually I don't know why. It happens also with the multimatte. The cryptomatte in here, it didn't match perfectly with the edge. So as you can see, it creates me some weird, not clean edge. And so for solve this, I upsided the resolution of the cryptomatte to 2K from 1K, and it was more clean. Obviously 4K will be even more clean, but actually I could not use the cloud, and I didn't want to spend so much time because my goal, it was not just to make so perfect animation. So in here I was just watching like the flickering. Is it a problem of post-production, or is pre-production? So I was trying to understand it. So I was rendering out the pre post production and the after post production to see what was the problem, and I was still understanding why the edges were not clean, and so I was understanding, as you can see, if the problem was in post production or pre production, and actually is in pre production. So I run some settings in the render setup, and what I was wrong was the reflections. So in the video I just had to erase a lot of reflection. In this way I will not have that flickering that was really bad. Sure, on the animation I had to work much more because the scene is empty in there, but I just wanted to show how you can just recreate some stuff just from a single image and do it really fast with the moving camera. So my goal was not to create a perfect animation scene, but just to try it out, challenge myself and just trying stuff out. And I learned a lot of stuff doing this, so I love it because I never actually have done this like from a still image to a video really so fast. Usually I lose a lot of time because it needs a lot of time to just figuring out how to do perfect things. And here I was learning how to insert metadata to a video. And so here I was playing, the background was blurred, and I said, okay, I want to work more on the depth, and so I changed it. Everything will be in focus except for the plant, and I removed the chromatic aberration and the gain, the grain, the noise. And here I'm trying to export to see if it works. If not, so I'm going to insert the animation in a short movie, and trying to figure out what should I do with that. So the first time I just tried to okay, let's do just one. Let's do just one palm, just one animation, and in this animation it will just change colors of the furniture, but it didn't match so much with the music. So I said, okay, let's do a go and go back. So in here I'm just adjusting some layers that I didn't like before because it was not matching perfectly, and I didn't like when there was the passage from the picture to the render. So I was figuring out how to do, and without getting crazy, but just get better results. So in here I said, okay, maybe I should just flip it. What do you think about it? And I'm trying to use mask and to do a linear transition, but I didn't like it. So I said, what else can I do with that? And so I was figuring out towards the end, is it okay, it's okay, but the music is not that good. So, playing around, watching everything and correcting this image because I didn't like the bottle. It was not pink. The pink obviously is not like ideal design, but it's like a joke, or just playing around to give some punchy effects. But obviously it's ironic, nobody wants a pink kitchen. So I was having this smooth transition, but I said, it does not match with the video, the music. And so I said, okay, let's do a go and go back, go further and backwards. And so here is, I do that, and in a while I'm also rendering the other colors in the animation. So Nuke is working, and right now, and here what I didn't like that the page, when in the intro, when they just leave, when you open the book, the magazine, the page disappear. So I was, okay, I don't like that, I want the page to be there. But actually it was too work to do, I should spend some time on it, and I didn't want to. So I said, okay, it's fine anyway, like this. So because I had to play with shadow and it will be a mess. And here I'm trying to export the file to see how is it going, because I don't have so fast render, so render machine. I have 4 core 8 threads. I have i7 for 4970K, and I have a GTX 660, so it's all one. And I have 16 of RAM, DDR3, so it was not that fast. Anyway, I love computers, and components and hardwares and kind of it. So I was, just playing around and figuring out how to do it, and and then I was trying to do something interesting. Like in here there was like a shaking music, and I said, okay, I need to shake it. And then what about the outro? I'll put the IKEA project, 3D project, and in here I was thinking, should I just end the video like boom, or just smoothing out like classic stuff. And at the beginning I did it like a really punchy end, but then I said, okay, maybe it's way too much. Here I'm working on the transition between a still image and the animation, because there was no transition, and I said, okay, let's do something. And so I did this fancy transition. It's not the best, but it's not that bad either. In here I'm working on transition between the picture of the magazine and my rendering, just to, because the matching is not perfectly, let's make it clear. So if you have a fade transition, you will just notice how bad the work is. No, but always not perfect, because it needs a lot of time to make it perfect. So with the flipping page, the translation is pretty smooth. So I was playing with it and trying to see it worked, and for me it worked. And so I was I noticed that in here the music was not at the same time of the beating, and so yeah, I'm just playing a lot with it, and then I got the end, and here is the actually video. And so in here, I just see many magazines, and then I open up the page that I want, and here is my render, and I show some passes. What I don't like is that I repeat it so much. I should like one step I want to do render passes, and then just to change colors. Instead I go back, and I don't like for example this one, just go further and backwards, but I had to match with the music, and this was a good idea. And I like the end, like the punchy ends that, and so yeah, it is. It was a long journey. I just spent some time. I had a lot of fun. At last, it was frustrating, and the hard part, I didn't think it was so hard. Was the post production to make everything more clear, and the design of the video is not always fast matter. So anyway, I'm sorry if the video was so long, but I didn't want, I just wanted to show my workflow and to show my experience, because I love so much YouTube. I spent so much time on YouTube, and I see a lot of contents, and I got used to also see some like time lapse that I love, and I think that watching this workflow of other people with the commentary, it may help, to just share our experience and how we work, and get some ideas. So I hope, I don't know, it was interesting, and yeah, I plan to do this for other projects. I want to shoot time lapse, but maybe I will not comment it. I will just do music and time lapse, because it's spending a lot of time also doing this stuff, because it's 1 hour long, and in its time. So yeah, anyway, thank you for watching. It was a pleasure. I hope you like it, and check out my other projects and stuff. Check out my Facebook page and YouTube, or Instagram. I'm working on it, so I'll contact me whatever you need to know, whatever you ask me. And in here it was not a tutorial, obviously, but if you want to get some more information, more detail, get slower to something, just let me know, and I will be glad to do that. So yeah, okay, so see you next time. Bye.